How does a man react when his own brother puts his photo on the front door with a note that says, "Do not let them in"? We smiled, left a gift by the coat rack, and walked away. 2 hours later, during the birthday toast, he opened it, and his smile vanished. As the story unfolds, take a moment to like, hit the hype button, subscribe, and write in the comments. Would you forgive him or walk away? The driveway was full when we arrived. Cars lined up like a display of who mattered most. Closest to the house, closest to Victor. I parked at the end, near the mailbox, where the asphalt met the grass. Ariel adjusted her lipstick in the visor mirror, her hands steady, her face calm. "Ready?" she asked. I nodded. We'd been ready for weeks. The gift box sat between us, wrapped in silver paper with a navy ribbon. It looked expensive. It looked thoughtful. It looked like something a younger brother would bring to his older brother's 45th birthday party. Ariel picked it up, cradling it like it mattered. We walked up the driveway together. The evening air was cool, the kind that made you aware of your breathing. Lights glowed from every window of Victor's house. Music drifted out, something smooth and expensive sounding. Voices layered over it, laughter that came in bursts. Then we reached the front door. My photo was taped there. Center height, eye level, printed on regular paper but laminated, like someone wanted it to last. Below it, a handwritten note in Monica's looping script. "Do not let them in." Ariel stopped beside me. Her grip on the gift box tightened, just slightly. I looked at the photo. It was from last year's Thanksgiving. I was mid-sentence, caught in that unflattering moment between expressions. They'd chosen it carefully. Through the glass panels beside the door, I could see guests moving inside. Someone glanced our way, then looked down. Another person whispered to the woman beside her. A man I recognized from Victor's firm stepped into view, saw us, and turned back toward the living room. No one opened the door. No one knocked on the glass to get Victor's attention. No one pretended this wasn't happening. I reached for the doorbell, then stopped. My hand hovered there for a moment before I lowered it. Ariel watched me, her face unreadable in the porch light. "Pierce," she said quietly. I looked at her. "I know." I took the gift box from her hands. The weight of it was familiar now. I'd carried it from the car imagining this exact moment, but the reality was sharper than the rehearsal. I stepped to the side, where the coat rack stood just inside the entryway, visible through the glass. I set the box down carefully on the small table beside it, adjusting the ribbon so it sat perfectly centered. Then I stepped back. Ariel laced her fingers through mine. Her palm was warm, her grip firm. We turned together and walked back down the driveway, past the parked cars, past the mailbox, to where our car sat waiting at the end. I didn't look back. Behind us, the music continued. The laughter continued. The party continued. We got in the car. I started the engine. Ariel stared straight ahead, her jaw tight. "They saw us," she said. "I know. They all saw us." "Yes." She turned to me. "And no one did anything." I pulled out onto the street, the house shrinking in the rearview mirror. They never do. We drove in silence for the first 10 minutes. Ariel kept her phone face down on her lap, but I could see the glow of notifications lighting up the edges. The family group chat was probably erupting. Someone would be crafting a message about unfortunate misunderstandings, or keeping the peace. Someone else would be defending Victor's right to set boundaries at his own event. I knew the script. I'd seen it play out for years. "Are you going to check it?" Ariel asked, nodding toward my phone in the cup holder. "No." "They'll expect you to." "Let them expect." She was quiet for a moment, then said, "When did it start? This thing with Victor?" I turned onto the main road, merging into light evening traffic. "It never started. It was always there." "But when did you notice?" I thought back. "College, maybe. I got into the crisis management program at Weston, full scholarship. He told everyone I was going into corporate babysitting. Made it sound like I'd be answering phones. Ariel nodded slowly. And when you actually started working? He introduced me as the guy who cleans up messes, like I was a janitor. I changed lanes, my hands steady on the wheel. I restructured 3 companies that year, saved 2,000 jobs. He told people at Christmas dinner that I did paperwork. What did you say? Nothing. I thought it didn't matter. I glanced at her. I thought results spoke for themselves. They don't, Ariel said. Not if someone else controls the microphone. She was right. Victor had always controlled the microphone. At every family gathering, every holiday meal, every casual get-together, he was the one who set the tone. He decided who got introduced first, who got asked about their work, who got seated where, and I had let him. What about me? Ariel asked. When did he start with me? The day we got engaged. I remembered it clearly. We went to dinner to tell everyone. He asked what you did. You said fitness coaching and content creation. He smiled and said, "Oh, so you're an Instagram girl." Ariel's jaw tightened. He's never called it anything else since. No, he hasn't. My phone lit up. I didn't need to look to know it was a message from the family chat. Probably Eleanor, my mother, trying to smooth things over. She was good at that. Smoothing, softening, suggesting that maybe if everyone just calmed down and gave Victor space to explain, we'd all see that this was really about protecting his special day. I'd heard versions of that speech my entire life. She's texting you, isn't she? Ariel said. Probably. Are you going to answer? Eventually. We pulled into a parking spot outside a small cafe I liked. It was the kind of place that stayed open late, dim lighting and quiet corners. Through the window, I could see maybe 6 people scattered across the tables. No one I knew. No one who would recognize us. Ariel turned to me. What now? I looked at the cafe, then back at her. Now we wait. For what? For the toast. I checked my watch. 8:40. He always does the toast at 8:40. Understanding crossed her face slowly. The gift. Yes. What's in it, Pierce? I met her eyes. Everything. We didn't go into the cafe. Instead, we sat in the car, windows down, letting the evening air move through. Ariel finally flipped her phone over and scrolled through the messages. Her face stayed neutral, but I could see the tension in her shoulders. 23 messages, she said. Eleanor wants to know if we're okay. Harold hasn't said anything. Monica sent 3 laughing emojis. Lyra asked if we finally got the hint. What about Victor? Nothing. She kept scrolling. Wait, 1 message, sent 5 minutes ago. She read it aloud. Let's not make this awkward. I almost laughed. Too late for that. She set her phone down. Pierce, what did you put in that box? I leaned back against the headrest, watching the cafe's neon sign flicker. Do you remember last year's Christmas dinner? Which part? The seating. She thought for a moment. We were at the far end, near the kitchen door. And the year before? Same spot. And Thanksgiving 3 years ago? Her eyes narrowed. Also the end. We left early. Because Victor started talking about real careers versus hobby careers, and he kept looking at us. I nodded. I went home that night and opened a document. I started writing things down, small things, where we were seated, what Victor said about my work, how Monica introduced you at events, who got invited to smaller gatherings and who didn't. Ariel stared at me. You documented it? I documented everything. I turned to face her. At first, I thought I was being paranoid. I thought maybe I was too sensitive. But then I saw the pattern. It wasn't random. It was systematic. How long have you been doing this? 3 years. She didn't respond right away. When she did, her voice was careful. And you never told me? I didn't want to sound like I was keeping score. But you were. Yes. Because someone needed to. I paused. At work, when a client comes to me in crisis, the first thing I do is map the pattern. Who said what, when they said it, how often it happened. You can't fix a problem until you prove it exists, and you can't prove it exists without evidence. Ariel processed this. So the gift box is evidence. Of what? Of everything. I checked my watch again. 8:15. 25 minutes until the toast. Every group chat message where we were excluded. Every event where we were positioned as less important. Every time Victor dismissed my work or reduced yours. Screenshots, timestamps, seating charts from the last 4 years. Her eyes widened. You made seating charts? Monica posts photos from every gathering. I pulled them, zoomed in, mapped who sat where. The hierarchy never changed. Victor and Monica at the head. My parents flanking them. Inner circle guests close by. Us at the far end. Every single time. That's... She trailed off. Insane? I was going to say thorough. I smiled slightly. I prefer methodical. She was quiet for a moment, staring out the windshield. Then she said, "What happens when he opens it? He'll see himself, clearly. And then? Then he'll understand that silence isn't the same as acceptance." My phone buzzed. Another message. This time from Beck North, an old acquaintance who'd been invited to the party. I opened it. What's going on? Monica just asked everyone to turn off their phones during the toast. That's new. I showed Ariel. She raised an eyebrow. She's trying to control the room. She can't control what's already in it. Ariel looked at me differently then, like she was seeing someone she recognized but hadn't fully understood. When did you become this person? I've always been this person, I said. I just stopped pretending I wasn't. The next day started normally. I woke early, made coffee, checked emails. Ariel went to her studio for a morning session. We moved through our routines like nothing had shifted, but we both knew it had. At 9 a.m., I had a meeting scheduled with Evan Brooks, a legal consultant I'd worked with on corporate restructures. His office was downtown, 14 floors up, all glass and clean lines. The waiting room smelled like leather and expensive coffee. Pierce. Evan appeared in the doorway, extending a hand. Come on back. We sat in his office overlooking the city. He poured 2 cups from a French press and slid one across the desk. So, he said, you want to talk about family dynamics as corporate structure? Something like that. He leaned back. I reviewed what you sent me. The documentation is extensive. Is it usable? Legally? No. This isn't a courtroom matter. He paused. Socially? Absolutely. You've built a case that would survive any scrutiny. Dates, context, witnesses in the photos. If anyone challenges you on this, you can substantiate every claim. That's all I needed to know. Evan studied me. You're really doing this tonight? Yes. At his birthday party? At his birthday toast, in front of everyone who watched us get turned away yesterday. He whistled low. That's a calculated risk. I don't think it is, I said. Victor's power comes from 2 things: people believing his version of events, and people staying silent when they see something else. I'm removing both. By making it public. By making it undeniable. Evan nodded slowly. You know what happens after, right? You'll fracture the family. Your mother will try to mediate. Your father will shut down. Victor will position himself as the victim. I know. And you're okay with that? I met his eyes. I'm tired of paying the cost for their comfort. He was quiet for a moment, then raised his coffee cup. Well, good luck tonight. By the time I left his office, it was mid-morning. Ariel texted that she'd be at the studio until 3. I drove there, parking outside and watching through the glass front. She was leading a class, 20 people mirroring her movements. She looked focused, professional, completely in control. Monica had called her an Instagram girl. Victor had dismissed her as someone who posted workout videos. But Ariel had built something real. She had clients who paid for her expertise, a growing platform, partnerships with brands that sought her out. She'd done it without connections, without help from anyone in my family. She saw me through the glass and smiled. I waved. My phone buzzed. A message from Victor. "You can come tonight if you want. Water under the bridge." I stared at the message. Water under the bridge. Like yesterday hadn't happened. Like the photo on the door. The note. The public humiliation in front of his guests. Like all of it could be erased with one casual text. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the group chat and scrolled back through months of messages. There were patterns I hadn't noticed before. Every time I contributed something useful, a suggestion, an offer to help, a piece of advice, Victor either ignored it or redirected the credit to someone else. When I mentioned a work success, the conversation shifted. When Ariel shared a professional milestone, someone changed the subject within 3 messages. It was subtle. That was the genius of it. No single instance was egregious enough to call out, but cumulatively, it was erasure. I screenshotted everything relevant and added it to the folder. At 2 p.m., I got a call from Beck. "Hey man," he said, "just wanted to check in. You good?" "I'm fine. Because yesterday that was rough. It was clear." "Yeah, clear." He hesitated. "Listen, Victor's been talking all morning. He's telling people you overreacted to a joke, that you've always been sensitive about family stuff. Is that what people believe?" "Some do, some don't." Another pause. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to show up tonight." "Seriously?" "Seriously." "Pierce, I don't think that's—" "I'll see you there, Beck." I hung up and checked the time. 8:40 p.m., 6.5 hours from now. I went home, ate lunch, worked for a few hours on an actual client project. Normalcy helped. It reminded me that this, my work, my competence, my ability to manage complex situations, was real. Victor's dismissal of it didn't change the reality. Ariel came home at 4. "You're really going?" "We're really going." She nodded. "Then I need to change." We arrived at 8:25 p.m. The driveway was still full, though some of the earlier cars had left and new ones had taken their place. The party had shifted into its later phase. Louder music, brighter voices, the kind of energy that comes after a few drinks. This time, there was no photo on the door. Ariel glanced at me. "They took it down." "Of course they did." We walked up to the entrance. Through the glass, I could see the coat rack. The gift box was still there, untouched, the silver paper catching the light. I rang the doorbell. Monica answered. She looked surprised, then recovered quickly, her smile smooth and practiced. "Pierce, Ariel, you came." "We were invited," I said. "Of course. Come in." She stepped aside, and we entered. The house smelled like catered food and wine. Guests filled the living room, clustered in groups, conversations overlapping. A few people glanced our way. Some looked away quickly. Others watched openly, curious. Victor stood near the fireplace, holding court with 4 or 5 people. He saw us, and his expression froze for half a second before resetting into something welcoming. "Pierce!" He raised his glass. "Glad you could make it." I nodded, but didn't move toward him. Instead, I walked to the coat rack, picked up the gift box, and held it under my arm. Ariel stayed close beside me. Her hand found mine, squeezed once. We moved into the living room. Beck caught my eye from across the room and gave a small nod. Lyra whispered something to Monica, who whispered something back. My parents were near the dining table. Eleanor looked anxious. Harold looked tired. Victor came over, his smile still in place. "Hey, about yesterday." "Don't," I said quietly. He blinked. "What?" "Don't explain. Don't apologize. Don't make it casual." His smile tightened. "I was just going to say—" "I know what you were going to say." We stood there, facing each other. The room had started to quiet. people sensing something unresolved. Monica appeared at Victor's side. Maybe we should do the toast soon. Good idea. Victor stepped back, raising his voice. Everyone, can I get your attention? The room quieted fully. Guests turned toward him, glasses in hand. This was the moment Victor lived for, the center of attention, the orchestrator of the evening, the man everyone came to celebrate. He lifted his glass higher. I just want to thank you all for being here tonight. 45 years. It's hard to believe. He paused for effect. I'm surrounded by people I love, people who've supported me, people who make life worth living. His eyes swept the room, landing on me briefly before moving on. So here's to another year. Here's to family. Here's to… Victor, I said. He stopped. Yeah? I held up the gift box. You haven't opened this yet. He stared at it. I was going to do that later. Open it now. The room went completely silent. Monica stepped forward. Pierce, maybe? It's fine, Victor said, though his voice had an edge now. If my brother wants me to open his gift during the toast, I'll open it. I walked over and handed it to him. He took it, his smile strained. Thanks, man. I'm sure it's great. Open it, I said again. He set down his glass and pulled at the ribbon. It came loose easily. He tore the paper, lifted the lid, and looked inside. His face changed. The smile disappeared. His eyes scanned the contents, moving quickly at first, then slower. He pulled out the first sheet, a printed screenshot of the family group chat from 2 years ago. The message read, Small gathering this weekend. Just close family. Victor, Monica, the Frosts. We hadn't been invited. He pulled out the next sheet. A photo from Christmas, the seating chart marked with circles and labels. Us at the far end, always the far end. Another sheet, another message, another event, another exclusion. He kept pulling them out, page after page, until they fanned across his hands like a deck of cards he couldn't reshuffle. What is this? He said finally. It's everything, I said. 3 years of documentation. Every time you minimized my career. Every time Monica dismissed Ariel's work. Every time we were seated last, invited last, introduced last. Every time you made us smaller so you could feel bigger. The room was frozen. Victor looked up. This is ridiculous. You're overreacting to what? I kept my voice calm. To patterns? To evidence? You put my photo on your door yesterday, Victor. You told your guests not to let us in. And now you want to call this an overreaction? Monica tried to step in. Pierce, you're making a scene. No, Ariel said. You made the scene. We're just naming it. Eleanor moved forward, her face pale. Boys, please, this is a party. Can't we just… We just did, Mom, I said. We just stood here and let you all watch Victor humiliate us. And no one said a word. Victor's jaw tightened. You always do this. You always make yourself the victim. I documented facts, I said. If that makes me a victim, what does that make you? He stared at the pages in his hands. Around the room, phones had started to come out. Not to film exactly, but to exist as potential witnesses. The shift was palpable. Beck set his glass down and walked toward the door. Lyra looked at Monica, then looked away. Harold cleared his throat, but said nothing, and Victor, still holding the pages, finally understood. The room hadn't shifted because of what I'd said. It had shifted because of what he couldn't deny. I took Ariel's hand. We're leaving now. Victor's voice followed us. Pierce! But I didn't stop. We walked past the coat rack, past the clusters of frozen guests, out the front door, and into the cool night air. Behind us, no one raised their glass, no one toasted. The party didn't continue. We drove home in silence again, but this time it felt different. Lighter. Ariel kept glancing at me, something like relief in her expression. You okay? She asked finally. Yeah. That was… necessary. She nodded. I didn't know if you'd actually do it. I've been doing it for 3 years, I said. Tonight was just the presentation. My phone started buzzing. Messages poured in. From Beck, from cousins I hadn't heard from in months, from people who'd been at the party. I didn't read them yet. I just drove, focusing on the road ahead, the familiar route home. When we pulled into our apartment complex, Ariel turned to me. What happens now? I don't know. Will they apologize? Probably not. Will they change? Definitely not. She considered this. Then what was the point? I looked at her. The point was stopping. I spent years absorbing it, explaining it away, pretending it was fine. I'm done. That's the point. She leaned over and pressed her forehead against mine. I'm proud of you. For what? For being done. We went inside. I made tea. Ariel sat on the couch, finally scrolling through her phone. Her eyebrows rose. Beck texted, she said. He said people started leaving 10 minutes after we did. Good. Monica tried to restart the toast. No one drank. Even better. Your mom called 3 times. I sipped my tea. I'll call her tomorrow. Victor sent a message to the group chat. I looked up. What did he say? She read it aloud. I think we all need some space to cool down. Let's talk when everyone's calmer. I almost smiled. Of course. Are you going to respond? No. What if he keeps pushing? He won't, I said. Because he knows now. He knows I have records. He knows I'm willing to use them. And most importantly, he knows that room saw everything. Ariel set her phone down. Do you think he'll tell people you're lying? He'll try, but I have screenshots, timestamps, witnesses and photos. Every piece of it is verifiable. I paused. That's the difference between accusation and evidence. One is deniable. The other isn't. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, When did you know you were going to do this? When I saw the photo on the door. You decided that fast? No. I decided 3 years ago when I started documenting. Yesterday just confirmed I was right to prepare. She shook her head slowly. You're terrifying sometimes. I prefer thorough. She laughed, a real laugh, and some of the tension finally broke. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Evan. Heard about tonight, well done. I texted back, thanks for the consult. Anytime. Let me know if you need anything else. I set the phone down and looked at Ariel. We should sleep. I don't think I can. Try anyway. We went to bed, but she was right. Sleep didn't come easily. I lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying the moment Victor's face changed when he opened the box. The disbelief, the realization, the look of someone who'd been caught in a pattern they thought was invisible. Around 2 a.m., my phone lit up with a call from Eleanor. I let it ring. She called again at 2:30, again at 3. I turned the phone off. When morning came, Ariel was already up making coffee. She looked tired but steady. Your mom's going to keep calling, she said. I know. What are you going to tell her? That I'm done negotiating my dignity. She handed me a cup. She won't understand. That's her problem. We drank coffee in the kitchen, the morning light coming through the windows. Outside, the world moved normally. People walking dogs, cars heading to work, life continuing like nothing had shifted. But for us, something had. My phone turned back on, messages flooded in, most from family, some from people who'd been at the party. I scrolled through them quickly. Eleanor. Please call me. We need to talk about last night. Harold. Your mother is upset. Beck. That took guts, respect. Lyra. You embarrassed Victor in his own home. Monica. You've damaged this family. And finally, Victor. You went too far. I read that last one twice. Went too far. As if there was an acceptable level of humiliation, and I'd simply exceeded it. I typed a response. You drew the line. I just made sure everyone saw it. Then I blocked his number. Ariel watched me. What now? Now we live. Without them? If necessary. She nodded slowly. I can do that. So can I. The week that followed was strange. Not difficult exactly, but disorienting. I kept expecting consequences that never arrived. Victor didn't show up at my door. Eleanor didn't stage an intervention. The family group chat went quiet. Work continued normally. My clients didn't know about the party, didn't care about family dynamics. I restructured a failing tech startup, consulted on a merger, handled a crisis for a retail chain facing PR issues. The work was good. It reminded me who I actually was when I wasn't playing the role Victor had assigned me. Ariel's schedule stayed full too. Her classes, her content, her partnerships. She didn't post about the party, didn't mention it at all, but something had shifted in her online presence. More confidence, less performance. On Thursday, Beck called. Hey, he said. Got a minute? Sure. I wanted to tell you something about the party. I waited. After you left, people started talking. Not loudly, but you could hear it. Monica kept trying to move things along, but it felt forced. Victor disappeared into his office for like 20 minutes. And when he came back, he acted like nothing happened, but people noticed. A few left right after. Others stayed, but the energy was wrong. Why are you telling me this? Because you should know. People saw it. Not just the box, but everything. The way he reacted. The way Monica tried to control the room. The way your parents just stood there. He paused. I've been going to these family things for years, Pierce. I always thought Victor was just confident. But watching last night, I realized it wasn't confidence. It was dominance. Yeah. I should have said something earlier, when I saw your photo on the door. It's fine. It's not. I stood there like everyone else. Beck, you're not family. It wasn't your fight. Maybe. But I watched you get humiliated and did nothing. That sits wrong. I didn't know what to say to that, he continued. Anyway, I wanted you to know. People are talking. Not everyone's on Victor's side anymore. I don't need them on my side. I know, but it matters that they see what you saw. After he hung up, I sat with that. It matters that they see. Maybe it did. Maybe public exposure wasn't just about Victor. Maybe it was about everyone who'd watched in silence, who'd participated by not objecting. Friday evening, Ariel came home from the studio with news. Monica unfollowed me. I looked up from my laptop. When? Today. She also unliked every post of mine she'd previously liked. Petty. Very. She set her bag down. But also kind of liberating, like now I don't have to pretend. Pretend what? That we were ever really family to them. She was right. We'd been satellites in Victor's orbit, close enough to be claimed as family when it suited him, far enough to be dismissed when it didn't. Do you regret it? I asked. She thought about it. No, I regret not doing it sooner. Saturday morning, Eleanor finally showed up. I heard the knock and knew immediately it was her. 3 soft taps, a pause, 3 more. Her signature knock since I was a child. Ariel was at the studio. I was alone. I opened the door. Eleanor stood there looking small and tired. Can I come in? I stepped aside. We sat in the living room, her on the couch, me in the chair across from her. She folded her hands in her lap, a gesture I recognized from every difficult conversation we'd ever had. I've been calling, she said. I know. You haven't answered. No. She looked at me, her eyes searching. Why did you do it, Pierce? Do what? Ruin Victor's party. I almost laughed. I didn't ruin his party, Mom. I responded to him putting my photo on his door and telling guests not to let me in. That was a mistake. He apologized. When? When did he apologize? She hesitated. He said he would. That's not the same thing. He was trying to manage the guest list by publicly humiliating me. You're being dramatic. I leaned forward. Mom, he taped my photo to his front door with a note that said, Do not let them in. 20 people saw it, and you think I'm being dramatic for documenting years of him treating us this way? You embarrassed him in front of everyone. He embarrassed himself. I just made sure people saw it clearly. She shook her head. You've always been sensitive. Don't, I said. Don't do that. Don't make this about me overreacting when Victor spent years minimizing everything I do. He's your brother. Then he should have acted like it. We sat in silence. Eleanor's hands twisted in her lap, her face pained. What do you want from me? I asked finally. I want you to forgive him. Why? Because he's family. So am I. That landed. She looked down. Mom, I said quietly, how many times did you watch Victor dismiss my work? How many times did you hear Monica reduce Ariel to an Instagram girl? How many family gatherings did you notice where we were seated last, introduced last, treated like we were less important? I didn't. You did. You saw it. You just chose to keep the peace instead of saying anything. Her eyes filled. I didn't want conflict. So I had to absorb it? That's not what I meant. But that's what happened. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, What do you want me to do? Nothing. I don't need you to do anything. But the family will be fine. Or it won't. Either way, I'm done pretending this is okay. She stood slowly. You're just like your father. Stubborn. Harold hasn't said a word about any of this. Because he agrees with you, she said. He always has. He just doesn't like confrontation. That surprised me. He told you that? He didn't have to. I know him. She moved toward the door, then stopped. Victor is hurt, Pierce. Good. She flinched. I'm sorry, I said, but he should be. He should understand what it feels like. Eleanor left without another word. 2 weeks passed. Life continued. Work, routine, normal days. Then I got an email from Harold. Can we meet for coffee? I stared at it for a while before responding. When? Tomorrow, 10 a.m., the place on 5th. I agreed. The cafe was quiet when I arrived. Harold was already there, sitting in the back corner with 2 cups in front of him. He looked older than I remembered, or maybe I just hadn't really looked at him in years. Thanks for coming, he said. I sat down. What's this about? I wanted to talk, without your mother, without Victor. Okay. He took a breath. I should have said something. About? About everything. The way Victor treats you. The way Monica talks about Ariel. The seating arrangements, the dismissals, all of it. He paused. I saw it. I just didn't know how to address it without making things worse. So you said nothing? Yes. For years. Yes. I didn't respond. Harold continued. Your mother is good at many things, but she's afraid of conflict. She always has been. She thinks if she keeps smoothing things over, eventually everything will balance out. But it doesn't work that way. No, it doesn't. Victor is my son. I love him. But he's... Harold struggled for the word. He's insecure. He always has been. And when people are insecure, they make themselves bigger by making others smaller. I know. And I let him do that to you. We sat with that. What do you want from me, Dad? He looked at me directly for the first time. Nothing. I don't want anything. I just wanted you to know I saw it, and I was wrong to stay silent. It wasn't an apology exactly, but it was acknowledgement, and somehow that mattered. Do you talk to Victor? I asked. Every day. He's confused. He thinks you attacked him for no reason. Of course he does. I tried to explain, Harold said. I told him about the pattern, the years of subtle dismissals. He said I was taking your side. Are you? I'm not taking sides. I'm just finally saying what I should have said years ago, that he was wrong. Will he listen? Probably not. I picked up the coffee. It was lukewarm, but I drank it anyway. Eleanor wants everyone to reconcile, Harold said. I know. She thinks you should apologize. For what? For embarrassing Victor publicly. I set the cup down. I'm not apologizing. I didn't think you would. We sat in silence for a few more minutes. Then Harold stood, placed a hand briefly on my shoulder, and left. It wasn't resolution. It wasn't closure. But it was something. A month after the party, I got a message from Beck. Victor's having another gathering, smaller, just close friends. And he told people you're not invited, but he's framing it like you're the one who pulled away. I wasn't surprised. Does it bother you? Beck asked. No. Really? Really. I don't need his gatherings. Fair. That night, Ariel and I went to dinner at a new place downtown. It was the kind of restaurant Victor would have loved, upscale, exclusive, the kind of place where reservations mattered. We got a table by the window, ordered wine, ate slowly. Do you miss them? Ariel asked halfway through the meal. Who? Your family. The gatherings, the routine. I thought about it. I miss the idea of them. But the reality? No. What's the difference? The idea was that we were close. That family meant something. The reality was that I was only included when it was convenient for Victor. She nodded. I get that. Do you miss it? No, she said without hesitation. I always felt like I was performing, like I had to prove I belonged. Now I don't have to do that. Good. We finished dinner and walked home through the city. The streets were busy, people moving around us, existing in their own worlds. I felt separate from it all, but not in a lonely way. More like I'd stepped outside a performance I hadn't realized I was part of. Ariel linked her arm through mine as we crossed the street. You know what's strange? What? I don't feel guilty anymore, about the party, about walking away, about any of it. I thought I would, but I don't. Why would you feel guilty? Because that's what they wanted, right? For us to feel bad about standing up, to feel like we were the ones causing problems. She paused at a corner, watching the traffic light. But we weren't causing problems. We were just refusing to be the solution to theirs. I stopped walking and looked at her. Say that again. We were refusing to be the solution to their problems. That's exactly it. I pulled her closer. Victor needed someone to minimize so he could feel bigger. Monica needed someone to exclude so she could feel powerful, and we just stopped letting them use us that way. Do you think they see it like that? No. They probably think we're being dramatic, or sensitive, or holding grudges. Are we? Holding grudges? I considered. No, I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. We continued walking. The night air was cool but not cold, the kind of weather that made you want to keep moving. We passed shops with lit windows, cafes with outdoor seating, couples walking dogs, normal life happening all around us. The next morning, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Pierce, it's Monica. I paused. What do you want? I wanted to talk. About the party. There's nothing to talk about. I think there is. Her voice was careful, measured. I think we need to clear the air. Monica, you put my photo on the door. You told guests not to let us in. There's no version of that conversation where we clear the air. That was Victor's idea. But you executed it. Silence. You hung the photo, I continued. You wrote the note. You stood by while your guests saw it. And then, when we showed up anyway, you tried to pretend it was fine. So no, we don't need to talk. You're being unreasonable. I'm being clear. There's a difference. Pierce, please. Victor is miserable. He won't admit it, but he is. People are asking questions. They're looking at him differently now. Good. How can you say that? He's your brother. He's the person who publicly humiliated me and expected me to absorb it quietly. Again. I walked to the window, looking out at the street below. You know what the worst part is, Monica? It's not what he did. It's that he genuinely doesn't understand why I won't just forgive and forget. Because you're family. Family doesn't mean automatic forgiveness. It means accountability, and Victor has never been held accountable for anything. Her voice hardened. You destroyed his birthday. He destroyed his own birthday the moment he put that photo on the door. I just made sure everyone saw what kind of person does that. You're cruel. I'm honest. You just don't like what honesty looks like. I hung up. Ariel looked over from the couch. Monica? Yeah? What did she want? To rewrite history. Did you let her? No. She smiled. Good. Later that week, I got an email from Eleanor. Subject line: Family dinner, December 20th. I didn't open it. Ariel saw me staring at my phone. Your mom? Yeah. Invitation to family dinner. Are you going to respond? Should I? She thought about it. Only if you want to, not because you feel obligated. I deleted the email. 2 days later, Eleanor called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again that evening, and again the next morning. Finally, I answered. Pierce, you can't ignore me forever. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just not interested in family dinners right now. It's been months. Don't you think it's time to move past this? Move past what, exactly? Victor publicly humiliating us? Or 30 years of him treating me like I'm less important? He's trying, Pierce. He really is. Trying to do what? She hesitated. To understand. Understanding isn't something you try to do, Mom. It's something you either do or don't. And Victor doesn't. He just wants things to go back to normal so he doesn't have to face what he did. You're being unfair. I'm being accurate. We sat in silence on the phone. Please come to dinner, she said finally, her voice small. Just once, for me. No. Pierce, Mom, I love you. But I'm not going to sit at a table and pretend everything is fine when it's not. I did that for years. I'm done. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, your father misses you. That one hit differently. He can call me himself. You know he won't. Then he doesn't miss me enough. I hung up and immediately felt bad, but not bad enough to call back. Ariel came home that evening with takeout. We ate on the couch, some cooking show playing in the background. Eleanor called today, I said. I figured. You have that look. What look? The one you get when your family makes you choose between your dignity and their comfort. I smiled slightly. That specific? That specific. We ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Ariel said, Beck texted me today. About? The dinner. He said Eleanor invited him too. He wanted to know if we were going. What did you tell him? That we're busy. Are we? We are now. I laughed. It felt good. 3 months after the party, life had settled into something better. Work continued. Ariel's business grew. We stopped checking the family group chat. We stopped performing. One evening in December, Ariel asked me, Do you think he's changed? Victor? Yeah. No. Why not? Because people like Victor don't change. They just find new audiences. She moved closer, rested her head on my shoulder. I'm glad you're not that version anymore. Me too. My phone buzzed. A message from Harold. Victor asked about you today. I typed back. What did you tell him? That you're doing well. Am I? Aren't you? I looked around the apartment. At Ariel beside me. At the life we'd built without having to justify our existence to anyone. Yeah, I typed. I am. Harold sent back a thumbs up. I set the phone down and pulled Ariel closer. The city lights glowed outside our window. Somewhere across town, Victor was probably hosting another gathering, playing the same role. Monica was probably arranging the seating. Eleanor was probably smoothing over conflicts, but I wasn't there. 2 hours later, during the birthday toast, he opened it, and his smile vanished. That moment, when Victor stood holding pages of evidence, when the room went silent, when everyone finally saw what I'd been documenting for years. That was the ending. Not because Victor apologized, not because the family reconciled, but because I stopped carrying their weight. I handed it back and walked away,